Hello and welcome to Country Sports TV. I'm Ian Summerall and I'm a gunsmith. I've got something to ask my fellow shooters on YouTube and Facebook. I've had a couple of Brownings brought in over the last month. Two that have been backboard. And they got very heavy leaded problems in the chamber and just in front of the chamber. It's almost as if the lead is actually melting. I've had to go to drastic measures to try and clean the lead out. It won't come out with just a cleaning rod. I just wondered if anybody had come across any problems with oversized barrels, with what they call back boring, and whether this is the cause of the heavy leveling problem. Now I had to put it on the honer and polish it out on the two that I had, and I was wondering, is this just a one-off? Is it because they use a lot of cartridges for clay shooting? Or is it a phenomenon that is widespread throughout the country with people with backboard barrels? It's not only going to be Brownings. The two I've seen have been Brownings. But I'm not going to say that anything else that isn't backboard isn't going to suffer from the same problem. Now, what is backboring, people might say, if you're listening to this? Backboring is boring out the back of the gun in front of the chamber. A 12 bore is normally 729 metric inches. Now, 12 bore can be anything from 710 to 740 plus, and there's a range. In the early days, guns were proofed as a bore size. That's why we say 12 bore. A 12 bore is 1/12 of lead into a cylindrical ball, which will give you the size, which is 729. A 16 bore is an ounce of lead, 1/16 into a cylindrical ball, and that would give you a 16 bore. Now, for a 12 bore, when I was working for Crudgingtons in Bath, we used to do a lot of sleeving and a lot of renovation of old English shotguns. And we found that if you bored the barrels over 740, that it would increase the recoil of the gun. And they were almost difficult to hold sometimes. You wouldn't want to fire a lot of shots through them. We came to the conclusion that when you bore the barrels out oversized, over 740, the wad and the shot go down the barrel faster. And if recoil is E equals mc squared, the same force going forward is the same force going backwards. So it gives you more recoil if there isn't any resistance on the wad. But, I hear you say, I've seen them advertising backboring in the magazines, and it says that it reduces recoil. Well, how can this be? If my experience is that it increases recoil, how can it be that it reduces recoil? Well, backboard barrels aren't 740 or 745. They can be anything up to 757. They're 11 bore. Now, what happens when you go out that much and backbore a barrel? Backboring was first done by Joseph Manton with flintlocks. And he would bore the breech end of the gun for ease of loading. But as a consequence, he found that it gave you better patterns. So a muzzle loader would be 14 bore at the muzzle, bored out at the back end, and be 12 bore at the back end. This allowed the gun to be used for a longer time in the field without fouling up. That's why he backed bore guns. What is happening with back boring barrels? Why is it reducing the recoil? Now, E equals mc squared. So the same force going forward goes backwards. So the same force going out your barrel is coming through the gun to you. Now, there is a formula to work out recoil. It's the mass and the velocity and the weight of the gun all produces the recoil, and it's done in units. Now, you can't change the mass because the cartridge is the same. The shot, the wad and the powder all weighs the same. So, the only thing that can change is the velocity. So how is the velocity being changed to reduce the recoil? The only way that the recoil can be reduced is by reducing the velocity. And if you're back boring the barrels and making them oversized, 750, 757, the gases must be going around the wad, which is slowing the shot down. So you've got people out using 1400 feet per second cartridges because they want a fast cartridge. Yet if you use them in back boring guns, it's reducing the velocity. It must, to reduce the recoil. I suspect that the gases are going around the wad, especially with felt wads, and actually melting the lead. Now, I wondered if anybody's got any thoughts on this, if anybody's come across this, or is it just a phenomenon of the two people that I've seen that's come in the workshop? Please let me know if you've seen anything. You can contact me on Facebook, either Country Sports TV Facebook page or Ian Summerall on Facebook. And, well, I just want to find out more. I just wondered if it's just a couple of guns I've just seen and it doesn't really happen, or if it really is a problem. Because if the gas is going around the wads and, well, melting the lead and it's sticking to the bore, it's creating an obstruction in the barrel. That could be dangerous. A wad could get stuck in the barrel and your gun may blow up. And I think this needs to be looked into. Anyway, Ian, Country Sports TV, signing off. Oh, and I'll put my email address down the bottom on the link. So if you want to if you're not on Facebook and you want to send me an email, you can. And it's ianthegun@hotmail.com. Bye.